Hi, I'm Thomas from mohrstade, and this is Let's Build a Data Studio Community Visualization. In this video series, I'm going to guide you over the major steps that it took me to create my own custom table community visualization. In this first video, I'm going to show you the functions of my community viz, and then we create our own first Hello World. So CustomTable is a community visualization I created to provide some features that you may miss in the regular table visualization in Data Studio. These are, for example, sort by delta, transpose tables, change comparison styles, and many more. We'll take a look at it. In the sort by comparison, it's possible to just do this. Just change the current order of the table by delta, which is not possible in the regular table right now. Or the transpose tables. You can just flip the columns and rows of a table by clicking one button, which is, I think it's very cool, and it's not possible at all in the regular table. But there are also minor things that are currently missing in the regular table. For example, it's not possible to change the comparison arrow color for just one metric. In this example here, you see that the bounce rate has some other comparison arrow colors than the sessions. If sessions go down, the arrow color is red, but if the bounce rate goes down, I mean, it's actually a good thing, and the arrow color should be green. This is not possible right now in the regular table, but with my custom table, it is. There are a lot of other examples for missing features of the regular table that custom table is giving you. But I will not go through all of them right now. I put a link in the video description so you can check this Data Studio report here. So to build your own Data Studio community visualization, you need to have 4 files that are stored in a cloud storage bucket that should be available to the public. So we're gonna create a new bucket. And let's name it, I have it already here, let's name it to YouTube Community Viz. And let's see where we put it. Let's put it into the Europe location because I am based in Europe. And this is okay as it is. And this is also okay. This is also okay. So we have created our own cloud storage bucket. Yay! Now we need to change the permission to make it publicly available. So under permissions, we add a new user, and here we type in all users, as it's already here. And we're gonna select a role, and this is like cloud storage viewer. Yeah, here it is. So we're going to select the storage object viewer to make everyone in the web be able to view the objects inside. So we save this, and we are sure, obviously we are sure to make it publicly available. Yeah, and then we are good to go. With this setting right now, every user in the web can access our bucket and the objects inside. But maybe you only want all users to view the objects inside, but not to list all the objects and folders inside this bucket. So as it is set right now, all users can have access to list the objects inside and view them. If you don't want this, you can add a new role for this specific case. So let's go to IAM and admin and roles. And here we're going to create a new role. We're going to name it like Public Data Studio with no list or without list, like this. ID, I guess, 1. I don't know. Let's use something here. So, and we're going to add some permissions here. Let's search our cloud object viewer. So storage So where's the storage object viewer? Here it is. Okay. So now all the permissions here get filtered that are included in this cloud object storage viewer. And we're only gonna select the get permissions, but not the list permissions. So let's add these. So this way, a user with this role cannot list objects, but only view them. So let's create this. So here we go. And then we're going to switch back to cloud storage. And then we're going to go back to the bucket and change the permission of the all users. Now we can select our just created custom role here and save this. If you don't see this role, you might need just a reload and then you will see it. So with this setting, you now allow users only to view the objects but not to list the properties and objects inside. To get our first hello world, or in this case hello data, we need 4 different files. First, we need a config JSON, which is basically gonna tell Data Studio how these things should look like, how the data panel should look like, and what should be in the style panel. Second, we need a JavaScript file which contains all the scripts that transform the data and build the visualization. Third, we need a style CSS for some basic styling. And last but not least, we need a manifest JSON, which contains some meta information about this visualization. So we start with the config JSON. Google is giving us a lot of information about how this config JSON should look like. You will find it in the community visualizations reference, which you will find in the video description. For the start, we're just gonna copy everything that Google is giving us as an example, which is here the example config. Let's copy this. And then we're gonna go to the Visual Studio Code or just the program you want to write some code with. Select a new file here. Let's paste it in there. And let's save it with config.json in the right folder. Let's see, where's the folder? I prepared a myvis folder here, but yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's save this here and let's view it a little bit. So in here we have some data and we have some style. Here you can see it if I reduce the data and the style. It's basically these 2 variables with some interactions and features, which I come to in a later video. So let's not look at these right now. So let's take a look into the data variable. You will see some elements here and the dimension and metric. And let's give it a proper name, like not first dimension. Let's give it a name like, I don't know, dimensions. And this one should be metrics. Okay. And you can select how many dimensions and metrics you want to allow. Let's say we can allow up to 10 dimensions and maybe up to 10 metrics. So our table should be allowed to include at most 10 dimensions and 10 metrics. You see also the supported types here, which are default. Let's just say we're gonna delete that and delete the last comma here. So yeah, we are good to go. Let's save this. And this is our data panel here, which should match the data panel in our Data Studio here. So now let's go to the styles. So the style panel and the styles variable includes just some examples right now. They have no function right now. We're gonna redo this later. So our config JSON is done for now. Let's continue with the visualization JavaScript file. We're going to create a new file here. Let's maybe save it as a JavaScript and name it to, let's name it to this.js. And the JavaScript we need here is first the library from Data Studio, which you will find in the DSCC library here. And I like to copy it from the run kit. Let's browse the files to our bundles, to the min.js. And let's select all and copy this to our JavaScript. And here we go. Okay, so now we have the library that we need to build anything. We have some functions now that we can use to subscribe to the data and make some changes and build up the community visualization we want. So let's check these functions. In the reference, you will find the library page, and there are some functions you will get with the DSCC library we just copied. There's the get width, the get height, but for now we need only the subscribe to data, which we will find here. And there's an example like this, and I think we just use this as it is. Use this without, or maybe let's do it like this, and copy it underneath. So yeah, this should be good. We just save it for now, and later we're gonna talk about what is really happening here. So, but this is our JavaScript, and next will be our style CSS. So we create a new file and save it as style.css. And for our hello world, we do not need any styles, so an empty file is okay here. So the last file is the manifest.json. We're going to create a new file. Let's save it, name it to manifest. And this time the name really has to be manifest.json, while the other files could be renamed just as you want. Let's do it manifest.json. Okay, so we're gonna look what the reference has to offer us. We will find a manifest page here. And maybe there's some example. Yes, there is. So we're gonna copy this. The manifest.json offers some additional information about the visualization that you will see when you try to add this to your report. So you will find the name of the visualization package, the name of the company, a short description, some logos, some organization URL, and so on. And there are a few components in here, which basically are the visualizations itself. In our case, we only have one visualization, and here in the example you will find two. You will find a tree map and a histogram example, but we don't need these, so we can delete this second one. And let's say we're gonna create some naming here, YouTube tutorial this. Let's do it like this. Short description. I leave this as it is right now, and then I change the name of the components. ID is my visualization. Name is YouTube table viz, and I leave the description as it is. Yeah, you can change this when you create your own. But there are some fields we need to change to make it work. In the resource variable, we find the JavaScript, we find the config, and the style CSS. So all the three files we just created. We need to upload our JavaScript, our config, and our CSS file to the cloud bucket first, and then we get the path we need to set here. Let's do this. Go to our cloud bucket. Here we have our different files, and then we have our viz file, the style and the config, and let's upload this to our cloud bucket. Yeah, it's done now. So we click our first config JSON, and here we get our gsutil URI. Copy this and paste it in the right place here in the config like this. We do the same thing with our other files, with the CSS file here. Copy the URL here. And paste it like this. And with our visualization JavaScript, we do the same thing. And now our manifest is almost ready to go. The last thing we need to change is the dev mode setting here, because if it's set to false, Data Studio will cache our visualization for some hours, and if we make some changes, we will not see them. So we will need to set the dev mode to true. Save this, and then the manifest can be uploaded to the cloud storage bucket as well. Now we have everything we need to get our first community visualization. Let's see if everything works. We need the GS path we find here, which is GS and YouTube Community Viz. Copy this to the clipboard. And then let's go to the Data Studio report and add some community visualizations and components. Explore more. And here we find the library with all these amazing community visualizations that are already there, but we want to create our own. We are asked to paste our manifest path. Submit this. And you will see the YouTube table viz is our name from the manifest, and the ABC incorporate, we haven't changed this yet. But yeah, let's add this. Allow. So we're going to place it in the report. And as you see, nothing is there. But yeah, let's check the code again to see what should be there. Because in the visualization JavaScript, there's only a console log data. So for our hello world or hello data, the data is logged to the console. Let's check the console here. And we do not see anything, which is kind of bad, yeah. So maybe we need to check the code first. We have our variable unsubscribe here, which is kind of awkward to subscribe to the data with the unsubscribe variable. So maybe we're gonna delete this, and then we do not call the unsubscribe function as well. So yeah, that should be it. Let's try it again. So save this file, upload it to our cloud bucket, override it, and do a little reload. Hey, success! We even get 2 console logs here. Let's check these. We see a color map, which is empty right now. Maybe we come to it later. We see date ranges here, which gives us all the information about the time periods we just look at it. We see the fields, which with all our fields we added to the table, which is right now the page title here, and the metric is our new users. And as you see, this is dimension 1 and this is metric. So we might rename this in the config.json later to not name it dimension 1, but maybe dimensions or whatever we want. Yeah, this is the interactions variable, which is also kind of empty right now because there's no interaction, but yeah, it's always a little more nested here. We're gonna talk about this in a later video. There's the style settings with all our variables we have in our style panel, just as you see when we click on the community visualization and check out the style panel. There's like an accent color here. This is already here. There's some custom text should be there. Here is the custom text, and everything you will find here, you find also here. Most important part should be the tables section here, where you will find all the data which is in our table and which we should display in the next video. And last is the theme variable, which is basically some information about the theme styles that we set here in the customized theme. And if we change anything here, let's change the primary color to black. Doesn't look good, but it's just for showing purposes. Our themes should change to the, I don't know what it is, but I think it changed. Yeah. But let's talk a little more about the JavaScript that we have here. We see our DSCC subscribe to data, which calls a function with the variable data and just console logs everything. And what I like to do first is to separate this function, to call it here and name this not data, of course. Let's name it my vis, and then I'm gonna call it here. This way I may call it from other places later as well. So let's see if this works. Let's save this and upload this to the cloud bucket again. And then we're going to reload the report. Okay, so we still have our console logs, nothing changed, everything okay. So the second thing I would like to talk about is this transform object. Right now it is set to DSCC table transform. And there is another option you may have here, which is the object transform. If you look at the library in the subscribe to data section here, you will see the transform can be table transform or object transform. And I like to use object transform much more. Let's use it and check out the differences. So save this, go to the cloud bucket again, override it. And before we reload, I want to check how the table is formatted again. So in the tables variable, you will find the default, which is like the default time period and not the comparison time period. And in it, you will find headers and rows. So the headers are all the fields again, which are already there. And in the rows, you will find the different values. And now let's reload this to see the object transform. There you go. Okay, let's see the object transform. So you will see you don't have any headers or rows variable right now. Everything is in the default. And in every row, you will see that The home is in the dimension 1, so dimensions and metrics are separated here. If you have multiple sections in your data panel where you like to add multiple dimensions and into different areas here, like dimensions 1 or maybe date and city and stuff, this object transform is very helpful compared to the table transform. But maybe table transform is very helpful for you. We are going to work with the object transform from now on. And that's it. This is our first Hello World or Hello Data in Google Data Studio community visualizations. In the next video, we're going to add some actual data that is visible. So we're going to build our first table and see which library we're going to use for this. So see you next time.